I first would like to welcome our newest member, Michael Fleming, to the Capital Improvement Committee. And I would also, would you like to say something about yourself, Mike?
No, I've been in the town here for about, since 1977, and
Wow.
retired a few years ago. With the experience at NSTAR and Raytheon primarily, and a little stint with the state when an old friend called me to ask to help him do some work in the reorganization of Mass DOT and some of the state, and rewrite that bill,
Right.
that terrible piece of legislation. So that's really about it. I live down Stevens Drive, and kids are grown and gone. They're just talking about that, but
Well, welcome.
thank you.
And would also like to welcome our new town administrator, Mr. Timothy Gordon. Welcome, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you.
Well, I think the first item of business I'd like to take up, and this, Susan suggested this, which I think is a good idea, we probably should set a timeline for capital submissions and a proposed review dates. Now, we had set a regular meeting on the 10th of December, and I'm wondering whether or not if we give till the end of November, whether that would be enough time to submit capital improvement requests. I suppose I can ask Town Administrator Gordon for his input on that.
So the timeline beyond that, what's the timeline for getting a plan completed? Is it the, March timeframe?
Well, what's been going on, and I'm hopeful we'll be able to change this a little bit, has been that the Finance Committee, meets in January. So, they're probably looking for things along that line. That's probably their timeline. But I guess what I'm asking is, what would be, if we're somewhat sensitive to that timeline, what would be a fair time, do you think, to get the various departments to put something together in terms of their annual proposals?
I think they should have into December.
Okay.
Yeah, I think,
That's what
I
I'm
know the
asking.
budgets are due toward the end of December.
Mhm.
And I'll be working with the departments on those budgets.
So why don't we make the 10th, which is our meeting, the submission date? Why don't we do that they can present their submissions on that
Their
date?
wish lists.
They're exactly right, okay. So is that agreeable with the committee? Someone want to make that in the form of a motion? They have until the 10th of December to submit. Is that-
Okay.
Yes.
If I may, Benji, does that sound reasonable to you from your end as well?
Sure.
I think people generally know, first of all, they know that it's not like there's an unlimited amount of money.
Right.
And they also always know what their top 3 or 4 things are. So
Right.
I think that
Okay.
that works.
So would someone like to make a motion to that effect, that the deadline for submission is the 10th?
So moved.
Seconded?
Seconded.
Okay, you're noting all this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor of that deadline date of the 10th? That passes unanimously.
That was November, right?
Of December.
Yeah, December 10th.
December the 10th.
And that's the
so,
same date as our
next meeting, that will be our next
So
meeting.
who is the, if I may,
Yes, sir.
question, because it's all new. Who or where do the requests come into? The town administrator first, or? to
Well,
us?
we have we did set up on, hopefully you have it, it's on some sort of a computerized grid, the request forms we made. We modeled them on the state's capital improvement committee requests. So we have our own forms, which we can also make available in hard copy. If you don't have them, Tim, let me know.
There's a folder, I couldn't tell how old those forms were.
Okay, if they're fairly new, there's like a bunch of them.
Like a 1-page?
There was a one-page, no, there was several, yeah, there was one, and then there were a couple pages, I think, that you might have in there for forms. Maybe after the meeting, we can look at it,
Sure.
and I can tell you right off the bat. And then, so the schools will submit, the various departments will submit, how they're coordinated, I think that can be worked out with.
But who do they who is the recipient? Is it
We are the
the
recipients.
capital?
You're right,
that's what
their
I meant.
request to
It
us.
comes to us with
Right.
copies to them or something?
Well, I'll be working with them, and
Okay.
there will be no surprises to me
Okay,
on the
right.
10th of December.
Right, they're the ones, the departments, the various departments, whatever they are, will be presenting them, so, you know,
Okay.
hopefully they'll.
Oh, at the meeting on the 10th?
Right, that's when they present
I'm
the
with you.
proposals. Now, we're
Pardon the
not,
clumsy questions, I...
no, that's okay. So we're gonna, let's put it to you this way, that's the date of receiving the proposals. We're not going to act on them unnecessarily on that date.
Understand, understand.
I see a hand raised by our town.
I just want
Accountant.
everyone to be aware that there is a bylaw on capital. It's a $35,000 at least
Mhm.
in a 5-year.
Right,
Window.
right. No, that's contained in the documents, actually, so hopefully the departments are aware of that. The next item after that, I suppose, are the dates for us to review, the review dates, which I think, you know, because it is December, unfortunately, it hits some systemic and important dates that have nothing to do with capital improvements or government. And so the question would be, when would be our first review date? I suspect it won't be until after the first. Is that a logical assumption?
Yeah, because if we have them, we can take them.
Oh, with 10 December, it would
Yeah.
it would make sense. Question again, please.
Yes, sir.
When we get them, are individuals privy to this? Like on the 11th, I'm privy to do my own analysis
Yes.
with all that too?
That's right.
So I
You're
have
gonna
copies
get one to
or something?
analyze, and then our first review, we'll have, I suppose, you know, if we want further elaboration, we could probably request
And that really would happen in January, more than likely.
Correct, and at that point, we'll be reviewing them ourselves, but what I'm saying is, as a part of our independent review, if it appears that there are questions that need to be answered, then I would think that that would be a point to call in. So for example, let's assume we have, say, 4 or 5 departments who are presenting items to us on the December 10th meeting. You know, I would think that give us somewhat of a presentation to see what they are. We'd make notes of that. We'll then review them independently. And if you have further questions, you know, prior to our review meeting, you know, we certainly can relay those and then have a fruitful, you know, review. So if we need someone here to answer a question, or there's some discrepancy, or we can work it out, does that sound fair?
Also, if we have questions, we can direct them to Tim, and Tim can get emails or out to the people that we have questions. You know, we can use our new
Correct.
full-time town
Excuse me,
administrator.
Arthur, do we still have to use this form, or
Right.
can we, I mean, can we get something a little bit more simpler than this?
Well, those are the believe it or not, those are forms that have been prepared by the state. If you want to elaborate on what the form, you know, is on the form is there essentially as some information that we need. But if you want to elaborate on it, you certainly want to do that. If you want to have a summary, you can do that. But we would like the questions answered that are in the
I
particular
mean, it's kinda
particular forms.
That was just a one page saying, no,
Let me just see, for example, they may have been some forms that are just our internal stuff that we gave copies out to, I don't know. Some of them are for your department only, and some of them are tracking questions.
Right.
So obviously, those are gonna need to be answered. And,
It's quite a questionnaire.
yeah. Now, let me just see it for 1 second,
Is
Mr.
that
Gordon,
new?
just to make sure I can look at it
Is that
pretty
new?
quickly. Well, this is, believe it or not, we instituted this, we voted this in last year. So, one is an inventory, actually. So this this inventory can be set up through, I think, the town administrator. In other words, one is this is meant to be a tracking item
For all the items.
for all the items.
For all
okay, as a
capital items
whole,
in the
okay.
inventory of each.
Correct. So, the second one, so, in other words, that should be used, that should ultimately track all of our inventory, what we consider capital improvement inventory in the town of Holbrook. Okay?
But
So that's more of a, I would say that's not your call, that's something to work on with the town administrator, and you know what I'm saying, to say, here is the inventory that we believe is there, so ultimately, everybody has it clear what we pretty much think is capital improvement material in the town, okay, so that we're not, surprised by that. The second ones are broken down in non-equipment capital improvements and equipment purchases and/or rentals. So if you have a capital improvement purchase and/or rental, you'd use Form C. If it's a rental, you'd use, it's a non-equipment capital improvement, you'd use Form B, okay? So, again, if you have any question about which one it is, you can, again, I think we can work those things out, okay? But, the point of it was to have a little detail and to,
Well, we did have it on the Excel sheet. I know you don't like the Excel sheet, but, I mean, it was pretty cut and dry.
right,
That's what we have here?
right.
Yeah.
But the idea here was to go into a little more detail so that when we look at the capital improvement projects, actually, did you have a proposal in here that fell in here?
That's an old one.
That's an old one, okay. So, but you'll see the instructions on them, and we're always happy to look at those, and if you have some suggestions, Administrator,
Well, what I would
We'll take a look
probably
at
do
it.
with the Board of Selectmen is to take their recommendations based on probably more discussion. I'll sit
Right.
down with the department heads and say, what's important, what do you need?
right,
And put together a capital improvement plan from the Board of Selectmen that actually prioritizes them,
right.
and then provide that to
So
the
we've had this
committee.
list of what we would like to look at to analyze, so I would,
And that's what this list that
that's
I
what
have
these,
here.
yeah, well, that's what this is, these Form A and Form B. I'm gonna furnish you with those before we leave.
This
So
here.
you have them.
Is that,
That
does the
is
state
what-
mandate that? Just curious.
These are suggestions from the
Okay.
state on how to, when you're setting up a capital
Yep.
improvement committee, what forms they recommended.
It's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot of work.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying it isn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not saying it isn't. But we want to make sure we have a sense of detail and know what we're doing. And, a lot of these things are work in progress, so as we all get on the same page with this over time, we don't want to have form over substance either. So I think a good faith on both sides will make sense. But currently, these are the forms that we have voted in, okay? So, just so it's a reference. Well, all right, so why don't we go back to just getting the dates for a second. What would be the open date for the first review, let's say in January? I have a commitment on the 7th of January, which is normally when I would do this. I'm wondering if we could, and that's a school committee meeting,
Okay.
so I'm wondering whether or not we might be able to do it like on the 6th, if that's possible. That's a Wednesday, is that bad?
That's Probably a selectmen's meeting.
That's a selectmen's meeting?
Mhm.
Okay. How about the 4th?
That would be very difficult.
That would be difficult, okay.
That's Friday, I'm sorry.
That's a Monday,
Monday. That would be difficult for me.
no problem. All right, so,
It's just in the December timeframe.
this is
How much
January
time do
now,
we-
we're in January now.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
In the January timeframe,
timeframe.
okay. So what, going to the next week, any day other than the 14th, what would be open for the committee?
Carl?
That's okay with me.
With the 12th.
12th Tuesday?
Yes,
That'll
sir.
be fine.
All right, so why don't we have a capital improvement committee meeting? That will be our first review. And then I think obviously we'll need to do a second review. And the real question is, should we do it like the next Thursday, say the 21st? Just so we spend some time reviewing these things.
It's just a question of process again, forgive me. Will the department heads or whoever else is coming in to talk about that, if they recall, does that fit their schedules? I don't know if that is an issue.
Well, let me just say this to you. They're gonna have from now till December the 10th to create a proposal.
Correct.
So they're all gonna be in here hopefully on the 10th for the proposal meeting. To the degree that there are follow-up questions, you know.
Understand, agree and understand.
Right.
Understand. Okay.
Okay. But I would rather have those meetings on the 12th, maybe not all of it, but it's certainly on the 21st to be our deliberations, okay, on what we have. And, again, to do this.
On the 21st, you said?
Yeah, the 12th and the 21st will be the dates in January, and then we'll have prepared our recommendations, okay? So, I don't know how that fits with the finance committee or not, but I'm not that concerned about it. I'd rather make sure the departments have had enough time to digest this, and that we've had enough time to all talk together, in a meaningful way, about, the budget overall and the role of capital improvement, which I think is gonna be an important issue.
So you'll end up, I suppose, through March or whenever you finalize your report, it's really a prioritization.
Right.
Because you won't have a budget. You won't know how much will be spent.
Right,
So somewhere there'll be a line drawn.
right,
Right.
that's right.
And it's over 35,000, and
Over 5 years.
it has to be a
At least
5-year.
Expectancy, in other words, it's gotta
Oh,
last.
5-year
for-
expectancy, of course,
Yeah.
yeah. I have some questions on this. Is this the right time?
Far away.
So on the cover sheet, this is the equipment this is the capital plan summarized, is that what this is?
Yes. Mhm.
Um,
Which one is this?
I'm on the
This is
cover
Form
sheet,
B?
Form A,
Form A, okay.
target date rebuilding, latest major improvements, so that would be applicable if it was a infrastructure or building.
Right, that's correct.
Okay, equipment or facility, right. So this would be town-wide report. So this is what I'll probably do in an Excel, just because it's easier to
Sure,
sort.
mhm,
and-
no problem.
and deal with. So, and then the Form B is the items that you'd like to see in the description, right? Or is that?
Correct.
Oh, these are the instructions.
Yeah, these are the instructions.
Got it. So then you go into the page 1 of 2. So some of these costs will probably be estimates, because we wouldn't have gone to
Correct.
get final
Right.
numbers on a lease
Right.
or a bond.
Oh, that's right.
And net effect on municipal income, taxes, other income. Is this the source of funding?
Right, right. Well, and the net effect may be, the net effect may be some service effect, too. It may not be a monetary effect necessarily. But,
Yeah, I guess that page, I'm not clear on that. If you could
Oh,
talk
which
about
page
that.
are you on?
Page, Form B, 2 of 2.
Form B, 2 of 2. I think that was an attempt to, see how the capital improvement items affected income. In other words, how they affected taxes, how they affected, where exactly the money was, what the improvement was affecting. So, was it a savings in taxes? Was it,
How it was paid for? Is that what?
Right,
what it's at?
exactly,
The source, the
exactly. Or, you know,
source.
what happened, was there a sale? In other words, it's trying to reduce the capital improvement to some kind of a, you know, discussion point as to its utility, I suppose, you know, from a monetary point of view. In other words, was property sold that they made money on by getting this capital item? In other words, they sold another piece of equipment. How did it affect the taxes, if it did at all, you know, the type of thing. It may not be very relevant on most of our.
Well, you know what it is? It's relevant in total. I
Exactly.
think for the capital plan.
Exactly.
So we could do it in total and say, you know what, this capital plan
That's
is.
fine.
Is,
That's fine. We broke it down to department project requests, but you certainly can do it as a whole. I don't have a problem with that.
and,
It could be part of a narrative, in other words. Because ultimately, these are forms, these are models, and it's gonna be what works in Holbrook. Maybe we want it to be able to work so everybody's on the same page. Okay, so I think we've taken care of those dates. And I'm assuming not a lot has changed since the last time we met in terms of what's in the capital improvement funds. Are there any questions? Do you have any questions, Chief, or
Nope.
Cindy, any questions, comments? No? All right. Well, I think,
We're, if I may.
yes, sir.
When I look at this, it's a little different from what my experience, and it's obviously elicits a question for me as a result. Under the schools, there's a various building needs. Is there a breakdown of what that would be? Everything else is very,
Yeah, there is, actually,
Specific.
though, I think
It's been-
Cindy,
it's
you have a
been re-
breakdown.
Oh, okay.
Revamped.
and the other
Because
half of that
really,
question.
At the building needs, at the time, there wasn't dedication to the new school building, which now is doing. So Dr. Lally, I contacted Dr. Lally and asked her to send me over actually what she's expecting to use that money for, and I explained to her that it's a $35,000 5-year program. And so she did send a letter, and,
And that's what they're in fact spending it on, so.
and what they're
that's-
going, she explained, what it will be used for, and I believe they're gonna buy their own, truck, plow. And I think that they'll get together with Ben and see how far DPW will go as far as plowing, and then the school
Mhm.
maintenance people will plow. I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
I think they're also going to buy laptops. I think there's a.
It was
you
a
have the letter there,
technology,
Tim?
there was a technology component. I should have brought the letter,
Well, that's,
but,
if I may,
I do right
what,
here, yeah.
what struck me.
Chromebook cards, $40,000.
yeah, there, you've got it.
What struck me when I'm looking at 17, 18, and 19, like 350, correction, 275 on average for those 3 years, I'm saying, various building needs, we have a brand-new school, and we're putting in $300,000 for,
No, it's basically about 133,000. I think it's
I'm
133.
sorry, but here's where you can see what I've done.
Yeah,
It just struck
I
me
see
as
what- yeah.
odd. So I'm looking at various building needs in the 15 plan. And 16, we have 226, 226, 300, and 300.
That got revised.
Oh,
The
okay.
one
that's
from
an
town
older
meeting
form.
is this one,
That's an older form.
yeah.
That's an awful.
Forgive me for
This is
that,
the
but-
one that went to town meeting,
Oh,
okay?
Thank you. I just,
That was revised at town meeting last year because of the new school, but they did still have their
the
65.
truck, I saw the
Yeah.
truck there.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind, town administrator, go ahead and maybe making a copy of that for a new member.
You can have that.
This- copies.
No, I mean the letter,
Oh, that-
from Dr. Lally.
Honestly, I was a little nervous when, and this makes a lot
I
more
see,
sense to me.
okay, all right, good.
I'll get it.
Yeah, when you said 300, I was actually trying to figure out what you were talking about, so.
Yeah, I was too, frankly. I was-
Okay, all right, good.
But that was the original policy.
I understand now, thank you very much.
I felt good about the 133 when you said 300, I said, boy, what did I really miss here?
300.
Well, all right, good. So, I think we've got our marching orders for our next, the next set of this thing, and it's really gonna be in the detail and how we work these things out. That's all I have on the agenda. Is there anything else that someone would like to discuss?
I didn't know, so we don't, so anything under 35,000, we handle at the department level?
Within departments.
Okay. I think that's something to think about after this process to, what we did in Winthrop is we had a sort of an unwritten threshold of about 10,000, but the capital plan is really to make sure things don't slip through the cracks. So we would be open to putting on lower, like, cash drawers for the treasurer's office, something they wanted, they didn't have it in their budget, $7,000. We put it on the plan and see how things go, and maybe fund it with some other source entirely, but it's not really an operating cost. So, I understand the need to capture the large items that you are more than likely borrowing for, but there is value in.
Well, I'll say this to you,
tracking the
those
others.
limits were written a long time ago, and things have changed. So, I mean, I'm open to that, certainly,
because-
and,
Benji was looking for a used truck that fell underneath
right,
the 35,000.
A good
So
example.
so
It's a good
that's
example, yeah.
something that we should.
Right.
There's a
look
lot
at.
of stuff that would
Right, no,
fall
it's a good
beneath
example.
that, and there's no place to put it.
right.
It's-
No, I'm open to that, to amending that, proposing an amendment at the town meeting, to revamp that.
I believe it'll be a bylaw change.
Correct,
It
yes,
started
exactly.
at 25,000 and went up to 35.
Right,
It was originally.
but I think it's like
25.
anything else, it's how you communicate it, and I think that that's a very logical, viable, and I think particularly when everything's on the soft right too, that would be a good, maybe that, I think it's gotta be on here probably too.
The what, please?
The soft right system.
Financial
Yeah,
system.
financial system. So, I hope that will be included in one of the proposals.
It's in the one you have in front of you.
It's in,
Oh, soft right?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
good.
financial.
Good.
You
It's
have
on-
to go out to bid, you just
Right.
can't.
yeah, you can't, it's not necessarily soft.
No, it isn't. Maybe Munis
It's got-
or something else.
then
I
there-
understand.
But it's
There
on,
is a
it's on
fund-
that report, down here.
Okay.
Towards the end.
$30,000 a year for 5 years, because it's $160,000.
Will that fit
Oh,
the bill?
IT?
Will that fit the bill?
Yeah, we're getting an updated bill, we're getting an updated estimate.
All right.
A year ago, it was
So we'll-
150.
All right, so we'll see what that is on the, on our next meeting, basically.
And there is a financial team that's involved in the bidding process for this, so.
Right.
It's set up.
Financial management.
Yeah, no. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is this the most up-to-date?
Is that the one, does that
That's, was
say,
it 2016, the one you gave us last meeting, is that the most up-to-date showing what is?
this is
up-
the one that went to town meeting.
Okay, so this is the most
Yeah.
current,
Yeah,
up-to-date.
that's the one that went to town meeting.
Is there, just because I'm slow, is there a possibility when you get these, to preclude something like this happening for me or maybe others? You said revision 1 or revision 2 or something, is that, is that how?
Because, you know what, when it goes this, yeah, this is the final one for this year.
Yes,
When you guys will prepare this, you people will prepare this going into town meeting for 17,
right,
okay? Everyone voted, this was the vote at town meeting, that this is how the capital plan was gonna go this, for the following years.
okay.
Okay?
I just,
Yep.
a final or some note.
That's,
you know,
that is,
Okay, all right,
that's the one. Yeah.
Okay,
There was so many revisions thrown out everywhere, but that's the one that was voted at town meeting. I took it right out of the certified minutes,
okay, thank you.
okay?
all right, well, if there's nothing more to be said for tonight, I'd go to the order. Want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? All those in favor? So moved. Thank you.